The mop hit the marble floor with its familiar rhythmic swish, a sound Marcus Chen had grown to find almost meditative over the past 3 years. At 2:47 a.m., the gleaming lobby of Chen Technologies Tower was his kingdom, empty, silent, and mercifully free of the pitying glances he'd grown accustomed to during daylight hours. His daughter's hospital bills were tucked safely in his jacket pocket. Paid for another month. That's all that mattered. That's all that ever mattered anymore. He didn't notice the man in the $1,000 suit at first. Marcus was on his knees, scrubbing at a stubborn coffee stain near the executive elevators, when he heard the unmistakable sound of expensive leather shoes clicking against marble. He glanced up briefly. Late night. Executives weren't unusual, and returned to his work. The building's name might have been Chen Technologies, but Marcus knew better than to assume any connection. Chen was one of the most common surnames in the world. The odds of him sharing anything with the billionaire founder, beyond a last name, were astronomical. "Excuse me," a voice said sharply in English. "Do you speak English?" Marcus straightened slowly, his knees protesting. The man before him was perhaps 60, with silver-streaked hair and eyes that held the particular weariness of someone who'd spent too many hours in boardrooms. His tie was loosened, his collar unbuttoned, signs of a long day that had bled into a longer night. "Yes, sir. How can I help you?" Marcus replied, his English accent neutral, carefully scrubbed of any identifying origin. The man's face flickered with frustration. "I need to get into the executive suite on the 42nd floor, but my keycard isn't working. Security isn't answering. Can you help me?" Marcus hesitated. The executive floors were beyond his clearance, beyond his pay grade, beyond his universe entirely. But something about the man's exhaustion, the slight slump in his shoulders, stirred something in him. He recognized that bone-deep tiredness. He wore it himself every single day. "I can call security for you, sir. I've been calling." The man ran a hand through his hair, and Marcus noticed his hands were shaking slightly. "My daughter is sick. She's in Beijing. I need to get to my office computer for a video call. The hospital, they said I need to come now if I want to." His voice cracked, just slightly before he steadied himself. "If I want to say goodbye." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. His daughter. A hospital. Goodbye. His mind flashed to Emma, his own 6-year-old, currently sleeping in a hospital room 15 blocks away, hooked up to machines that beeped and hummed through the night. Leukemia. The word that had shattered his world 18 months ago. Marcus made a decision that would have gotten him fired if anyone found out. "Follow me, sir." He led the man to a service elevator, using his master janitor's key to access floors he technically could reach, but never did. As they rode up in silence, Marcus studied the man's reflection in the polished steel doors. There was something familiar about his face, though Marcus couldn't place it. "Your daughter," Marcus said quietly in Mandarin, the language of his childhood, the language he hadn't spoken aloud in years. "What is her name?" The man's head snapped around, his eyes wide with shock. For a long moment, he simply stared at Marcus, as if seeing him for the first time. "Mei Lan," he finally answered in Mandarin, his voice barely above a whisper. "Her name is Mei Lan. She's 8 years old." "Beautiful orchid," Marcus translated softly. "A lovely name." "My daughter is Emma. She's 6. Also in the hospital." The elevator seemed to hold its breath. The man's face had gone pale, his expensive facade crumbling to reveal the terrified father beneath. "What's wrong with her?" he asked. "Leukemia. We're in the middle of treatment. It's expensive, but she's fighting." Marcus offered a small smile. "Children are stronger than we give them credit for." "I'm dying," the man said suddenly, the words tumbling out as if he'd been holding them back for too long. "Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. My daughter doesn't know yet. I've been trying to finish a deal to secure her future before." He stopped, swallowing hard. "But now she's sick too. Appendicitis. It should be routine. But there were complications, and I'm here, and she's there, and I—" The elevator dinged. 42nd floor. Marcus led him through the darkened corridors, past glass-walled offices that looked out over a sleeping city. He didn't know where they were going exactly, but the man seemed to know. moving with increasing urgency toward a set of double doors at the end of the hall. "This is my office," the man said, then paused. "I'm Richard Chen. I own this building." The world tilted slightly. Marcus had been cleaning Richard Chen's building for 3 years. The Richard Chen, the tech billionaire whose face graced magazine covers, whose innovations had changed how the world communicated. And he'd been on his knees, scrubbing floors beneath his feet. "I'm Marcus Chen," he replied simply. "No relation, I'm guessing." Richard's laugh was short and bitter. "In the ways that matter, perhaps we are." He unlocked his office with a fingerprint scanner. "You risked your job to help me. Why?" Marcus thought of Emma, of the nights he'd spent beside her hospital bed, of the terror that lived in his chest every single day. "Because I know what it's like to be afraid for your child. Because some things are more important than rules." Richard's computer came to life, and within moments, he was connected to a hospital room in Beijing. A little girl appeared on the screen, her face pale but smiling, and Richard's composure finally broke. He spoke to his daughter in rapid Mandarin, his voice thick with tears and love and desperation. Marcus turned away, giving them privacy, but not before he saw Mielan's smile, so similar to Emma's brave grin. He stepped outside the office, his own eyes burning. 15 minutes later, Richard emerged. His face was red but calmer. "She's stable. The surgery went well. They were calling to give me good news, not—" He couldn't finish the sentence. "Thank you for getting me here, for understanding." "Of course." Richard studied him for a long moment. "You're educated. I can hear it in your Mandarin, in how you carry yourself. What brought you here to night shift janitorial work?" Marcus had spent 3 years avoiding this question, deflecting it, hiding behind his mop and bucket. But something about this night, this shared terror and relief, made him answer honestly. "I was a translator for the UN. Good job, great benefits. Then Emma got sick and my wife couldn't handle it. She left. The medical bills piled up faster than I could pay them. I lost the apartment. Lost the job when I missed too many days for Emma's treatments. This job has overnight hours, so I can sleep during the day while Emma's in school or at the hospital. And insurance that barely covers some of her treatments. It's not what I dreamed of, but it keeps her alive. That's all that matters." Richard nodded slowly, something shifting in his expression. "How's your Mandarin with technical terminology? Contract law? Business negotiation?" Marcus blinked. "Fluent. I specialized in business and legal translation before. I have a proposition." Richard pulled out his phone. "I'm opening a new Beijing office. I need someone who understands both cultures. Someone with integrity. Someone who would risk their job for a stranger's child. I need a head translator and cultural liaison. The job is based here. Hours are flexible. And the health insurance is the best in the country. Your daughter would have access to the best oncologists in the world." The office seemed to spin. "Sir, I'm a janitor. You're a father who loves his daughter. You're a skilled translator. You're a man with compassion and courage." Richard's voice was firm. "I'm a billionaire who nearly missed saying goodbye to my child because I couldn't get past a locked door. We all need help sometimes. Let me help you." Marcus felt tears streaming down his face. Months of exhaustion and fear and desperate hope finally breaking through. "Why? You don't know me." "I know enough. You spoke to me in my mother tongue when I was breaking. You understood without judgment. You risked what little you have for a stranger." Richard's own eyes were bright. "Besides, we Chen men need to stick together, don't we?" 3 months later, Marcus stood in Emma's hospital room, watching her sleep peacefully. The new treatment protocol, courtesy of Dr. Morrison, the best pediatric oncologist in the country, was working. Her hair was growing back in small, dark tufts. Her smile was returning. On his phone was a photo from Beijing. Richard Chen and Mie Lan, both healthy, both beaming, standing in front of the new office where Marcus would travel twice a month to coordinate translations and partnerships. The job was challenging, fulfilling, and paid enough that Marcus had moved Emma into a sunny apartment with a view of the park. But more than that, he'd found something he thought he'd lost: hope. And a reminder that sometimes, in the darkest moments, speaking from the heart in any language can change everything. The kindness of a single moment, offered freely at 2:47 a.m. on a marble floor, had echoed into both their futures. 2 fathers, 2 daughters, One language of love that transcended boardrooms and mop buckets alike. Sometimes the greatest wealth isn't measured in billions, but in the courage to see someone's humanity and your own reflected in their eyes.